The first thing that I've learned is that it's real, that it exists at all. And when I look at the totality of the evidence that I've been involved with directly myself and my colleagues, which is mostly mediumship research, controlled mediumship research, and now for the past 10 years, including now technology research, testing the spirit communication technology hypothesis. I have been forced by the convergence of those data, especially the very latest data that we've been getting over the past few months. I mean, this is a very critical moment in the history of this work. Plus other areas of research that I haven't been involved with, such as near-death experience research and reincarnation research. But you put all that together, and logic and integrity requires that we come to the conclusion that life after death is true. And I've become very peaceful about that. Took me a long time because I was raised essentially as an atheist. I was taught it was ashes to ashes, dust to dust, case closed. By my family and upbringing, I was trained by Western science, that the brain is responsible for everything human, including our behavior and our capacity to think and have consciousness, and therefore, by definition, if consciousness is an emergent property of brain function, then when the brain dies, consciousness dies, case closed. And I accepted that. So I had to radically change my own thinking and upbringing to come to this conclusion. So I would say the first thing I've learned is that survival of consciousness is real. The second thing I would conclude, and by the way, I make that as a strong statement. I mean, I would say it's as real as anything that we can prove. So let me qualify that. I would say it's as real as gravity. And why do I say it's as real as gravity? Because I can do experiments where I can take this wand, for example, and drop it, and it'll fall to the desk. I do that over and over, experiment again, and I can see that that's a real phenomenon. And I know that something is there that is doing this. But the truth is, we don't know what, quote, gravity is. We don't know. We can describe it mathematically. We can make predictions about it. But there are multiple theories about gravity, and we don't really know which one it is. So I say that all the evidence points to the idea that there's something like gravity. And I would say that survival of consciousness for me now is as strong in terms of evidence as the evidence that there's something called gravity. Now, the second thing I think that I've learned is that there are a subset of individuals, quote, on the other side, who are deeply devoted to the fate and evolution of human beings. And when given the opportunity to collaborate with people here trying to pierce the veil and build a collaboration which is greater than either us or, quote, them, they devote time and energy to participating in our research and guiding us. We affectionately refer to them as the A team and they're the B team. Because they know more about the afterlife than we do, and they know more about most things than we do, because these are very distinguished people, for the most part. But I would say they're all distinguished, but some of them are not known. I mean, many of them are not known, but some of them are luminaries. And I've been forced by the totality of the evidence to come to the conclusion that there are people on the other side who really care about us and wish to help. And they've become our, quote, test pilots for the technology. I wrote a book called The Sacred Promise. Well, you can imagine, having read that book, that we've progressed substantially in evidence to conclude, because the subtitle of that book is How Science is Discovering Spirit's Collaboration with Us in Our Daily Lives. And we now have data for that in spades. And these are very special people, including distinguished scientists, distinguished inventors, distinguished entertainers, and so on. So what I've learned is that, if you would, people that were bigger than life in this life are bigger than life in the next. Yes. People who really cared about humanity continue to care about us. I think the third thing that I've learned is that in many ways, they've got the same challenges that we do. And what do I mean by that? And what I mean by that is, although it's obviously different for them, and they can do things that we can't do. For example, evidence suggests that they, the way I put it, it's quote, easier to multitask on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have a physical body constraining you, or they can travel from wherever they are to wherever we are almost as quickly as I could dial a phone number and connect with you. I remember a medium many years ago, a research medium giving me the phrase, our loved ones are only a thought away, and all you have to do is think about them and they can be, quote, here. So yeah, they can travel much faster than we can, and they can do many things that we can't do. But in many other ways, they're like us. They're growing, they're learning. They don't know a lot about what's going on. They're often as surprised in the research as we are. They're surprised by synchronicities and all the other things that have been happening. And therefore, we're on an adventure together. So just because somebody died doesn't mean all of a sudden they become enlightened. We carry with us our history. And that includes our limitations, it includes our prejudices, it includes our wounds, and so on. Yeah. And therefore, how we live our lives now matters for the journey that we're on. I would say those are the three most important things. And maybe the last thing I've learned is that I learned this very early on in the research, is that not all mediums are frauds.
Yes.
They're not all engaged in cold reading. Some of them are the real deal. And they're truly exceptional people. They're not all spiritual. They're not all necessarily mature. But the ones who are really good have a gift. And it's very special about what they do. Anyway, I'd say that's what I've learned.